world, if you pass null, that was also me playing around with it. And the fact of the matter is this exists. You can pretend there's a more complicated library written in C, such as, I don't know, WebKit. WebKit's written in C++. So this kind of is applicable. Right? You want to write the newest web browser in Java, but you have to call this C library that someone's already written. So how you used to do that was, I'm not going to pull up examples here because that didn't bother me, it was a process called JNI. And what you could do with JNI is you could write your Java methods in C, but they were still Java methods. They still were called in the Java calling conventions, and you had to write wrapper classes for everything. So you had library A, and you want to make it Java library A. You have to write a bunch of JNI code in order to make that, in order to bridge it. The enter JNA, which stands for Java Native Access, which is a set of Java libraries to do stuff. In fact, all of them in their compiled glory are right here, which is a jar file. And if you look through here, you'll see a bunch of shared objects. What this means is this is not good Java. This is not nice cross-platform Java code. This is nice platform-specific Java code. But apparently, this single jar will run on multiple systems because it's branched out by the different systems. So this is how it talks to things on Linux AMD64, Sun OS x86. So with this jar file, your Java program gets to be pretty portable. And normally you'd have this be part of your Eclipse build environment, or I don't know. I'm not really a Java developer. I just do some of it on the weekends.
You moonlight.
Moonlight, yes. Or moon. I moon at Java. So the second portion of this will also be about Scala, which is not portion of this topic. And I'm still on the clock for the first half. I'm moving these in the current directory. So I wrote my Java code, which was really simple. I import the... Is that what Vim's default colors look like? I guess so. It's kind of ugly. I made Vim use the defaults before I changed this. So you import library, native, and platform. And for those of you that don't know Java, for those of you that know programming, just kind of, I'm sorry. I know this is probably not a very comfortable talk, but...
Just smile and nod.
Just smile and nod, exactly. For those of you that don't know Java, well, this is probably why you don't know Java. Java's kind of ugly and has a reputation. But, okay, so the outermost class is a hello. It's like your main program. It has the main routine, which means you can invoke this on the command line and receive some arguments. The normal Java way of doing stuff is only one class file per file. If you don't do that, Java complains at you. I didn't want to write two files, so I just put the interface inside the class, which makes it an inner interface. And that's all fine and good. This interface extends library, which is itself an interface, because interfaces can only extend other interfaces. And interfaces don't contain code. Interfaces are like the descriptions of what methods look like, but with no actual code. What's weird here is we then define a variable, which I didn't know you could do this in an interface. I'll point out I did not know you could do this in an interface. In this interface, we have an instance variable. That should be confusing because interfaces can't be instantiated. They don't exist. But anyway, nevertheless, there's a variable in there that's assigned to a thing that we get from native load library. We'll go on this and just look at this part of it for a second. We're saying native load library, load a library called hello, and bind it to this class object, which is an object that represents this class. And by class, I mean interface. And then because Java's type system is a little bit weird, we have to cast it. This says, this thing that I'm getting out of here, which you're just saying is an object, we're going to treat it like it's a libhello. And we're assigned to an instance variable that lives inside of libhello's interface. Now, what's going on here is this is, I'm a Perl programmer at heart. It's my first language. And in Perl, there's a practice that we employ called golfing, whereas you try to shorten a bit of code as small as you can, and not necessarily making it that readable. And it's not something you do for serious, but it is something you do as sort of a game. And it's called golfing, because in golf you want to lower your number of strokes, and in this you want to lower your number of keystrokes. This is a Java golf, because while you can do it this way, I think that if I was writing something maintainable, I would probably separate out this instance variable out of an interface, because why the hell, I didn't even know you could do that. Which is, I don't know you could do X in a language is not a good reason to not use a feature of a language, but it is kind of it is something you should be aware of, especially since the big thing about interface interfaces is they don't contain code. And I guess this doesn't contain code, but it does contain data. Anyway, these methods here describe the functions that we're getting out of that library, and it means that you can call them. So here we have libhello, which is a class. We're calling an instance, or we're getting an attribute from the interface class, and then calling a method on it, which I'm calling twice with null and pants. Then here's where I was testing memory, because I was like, well, what's it doing with the memory? In C, strings are pointers to a continuous region of memory. So if you have the word hello, that's 6 characters, the last one terminated telling you that it's over, that are in one section of RAM. It's very raw, bare metal. It's not like on Y Combinator where people say, I program in Node.js because it's bare metal. It's actually bare metal. Well, it's pretty close to being bare metal. So I get a string. What I was testing here is if I get a string out of here and I print it, and then I change the string and I print it again, what do I get? What I was expecting if JNA was being stupid would be the value change. But no, whenever you get a string out of C from using JNA, it copies it for you. This is good because this would break an invariant of Java, which is strings are immutable. You're not supposed to be able to change the content of a string in Java. So that holds, and they did it right. I played around with some a bit more here and verified that it's doing things as it should be. Now, what it actually came to is also very good. I saw this example I saw a more complicated example of this on Stack Overflow, and people said it works. And then I tried to get it working, and I did get it working in Eclipse way back when I was binding to a libc function called readLink, which Java doesn't give you access to. readLink lets you know the target of a symbolic link, which is useful for something I was doing. But I didn't know how to actually compile it and what was required. So what is required is first you must compile your C code. To create a shared object without having to worry about a whole bunch of stuff that's very specific to your platform, this is about what you need. You tell it to make a shared library. That's about where the code goes. It means I'm not that much of a C programmer to know that. It means that it's position independent, I believe. Someone who knows C can type in. Outputting libhello.so. The convention in Linux is if a library is named hello, its actual file name will be lib, hello, possibly a version number, and then .so. And then the file name. So that compiles the C code. And we have happy little C code at the end. Nice green and with a star on it. So then what we needed is we actually have to have the JNA jar file here, and then we have to compile it with javac. And javac doesn't want to be passed the jar file. That was what I first naively attempted. Then I read the man page. It said that if you pass it an xdirs option, it will look in that directory and link in any jar files that it finds in more words than that. So I did that. And whoops, and I typoed because only one of those has in the C. So, and it compiled, it printed nothing, which was good. And then I tried running it. Normally, if you have a hello class with a main method and you want to run it, and it's a class file in the current directory, you just do this, and Java's happy. But look what happened! It didn't know where stuff was. So then I tried some other stuff, which I'm going to show you what I tried because this is beneficial as someone looking at Java that's not a Java programmer. I was like, well, I know there's a jar option because I've seen that being used and stuff. So I'll try passing jar and the JNA thing, and then what happens? It didn't run my code, and I immediately knew that it didn't run my code because it ran the code that was in the jar. So how do I tell it where the jar is? Oh, it's the class path, because the class path can contain directories or jar files. So there we go, this should run. Oh, wait, I didn't hit enter? There we go. It couldn't find the class for hello. Why can't it? It's right there. Oh, because if you specify a class path, it overrides it. So I was like, oh, I have to add to the class path CP. It's not finding it. Oh, you only can pass it CP once. It doesn't append it. So if I do that, now it's actually a class path. And then, cannot find shared object, no such file or directory. Why the hell? Now here we go back to knowing Java wouldn't have been any help at all here because I was like, it's looking for the shared library. You know what? I regularly break proprietary software that's been ported to Linux that doesn't want to run anymore because it's an old game like Neverwinter Nights, and I really want to play it, and my son wants to play it, and it just doesn't work. Well, the thing is you can tell the loader, the linker, the dynamic linker, where to find stuff by setting a LD library path. And in this particular case, I'm sending it to the current directory. And it worked. And that is the output. of the Java file. Now, a corollary to this was I also said that this talk I'd mention how to do this in Scala, which I assumed would be a little bit easier than it is. Scala is a really fun language. It's written in Java, or it was originally written in Java. It's written in itself now. It runs on the JVM, and it can access anything in Java. So when you have a string in Scala, it's a string. But what that actually is it's a Java string object. It's not showing the path though. But you can import any Java thing you want, including what was one of those lines in that file? In that Java file. Bad with names. There we go. So I mean, syntax in certain cases those dots are not good. In certain cases are the same as in Java, except you don't have to have semicolons at the end of the lines. But it can't find that because I didn't specify the class back. But anyway, moving forward, if I had wanted to, you could access those things in Scala. The difficulty lies as Scala compiles its stuff. Hit Shift, Pete. Hit Shift, Pete. Pete, enter your password. Anyway, sort of it is if you can't actually use JNA for writing things in Scala because the inspecting classes, which JNA needs to do, won't work for Scala classes because they look different on the inside. On the outside, they work just fine, but they look different on the inside. So if you want to, there's some other code built on top of this called Scala Native Access, SNA, and that works. But the other thing you can do is Scala and Java can kind of freely exist in the same project because Scala just accesses the same underlying VM. So you can bind your C stuff with relatively same Java classes and just call that. And I mean, and you really, I really enjoy writing Scala, and I never really wanted to learn Java. But you have to admit, I mean, if this is all the Java, you have to write this top interface line here. That's not that bad, even if it is assigning an instance variable inside an interface. And how the hell does that work? I'm done.
Under par.
4 under par?
Yeah, you went golfing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that was getting the whole thing started too. So now I get Pete's. Now I log out Pete's shell from my system, change my password. Oh, you're caps lock. Why do I always do caps lock even though no one else has caps lock as control? I should know that by now. Caps lock should be controlled. So.
Pete, did you want to do your lightning question?
Oh, yeah, my lightning question. Does anybody know a good bulk email company that isn't hard to use?
I hear those Nigerians are really cheap.
Huh?
MailChimp is the only one I know.
MailChimp is the only one. All right.
Email sounds like a bad name.
But it's okay, he's a politician.
Or to send
What do you want to do with email?
Well, the message is going to say, I'm the best candidate, vote for me. And I want to email this to everybody who requests absentee ballot. And
Mail merge it and send it through.
Yeah, but you need
there's 5,000 people.
you need to get the database.
I do have a database.
Okay. That you've got it with the voter history and all that to pare down because it's expensive to do what you want to do. And then are you Republican or Democrat?
It's a nonpartisan, nonpartisan.
That's not my question.
Well, I'm not allowed to tell.
No, it matters.
You're not allowed to ask that question at the SLUG meeting.
Which company
You are not allowed to ask that question at the SLUG meeting.
Which company you use depends on whether you're a Republican or Democrat, because there's Republican ones and Democrat ones. Contact
And that's out of the scope of the meeting.
Local party leader, they'll tell you which one to use.
Oh, okay. All right.
But you want to pare down your but you want to pare down your database list as much as possible, because the emails attached to those are expensive.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I was looking at GoDaddy, I was looking at Constant Contact, and I was looking.
But you don't have the email addresses. You just
Yes.
have, no, you don't. You just have their names and their.
I have a CSV file that has the email addresses in one of the fields.
In a voter registration file.
Yes. The
This is local government, so.
yeah, the supervisor of elections sends that to the candidates who request it.
Right.
It is an optional field on your registration now.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got some email addresses. Do you
Yes.
want them all from a marketing company, or you just want to send it to the ones you've got?
Well, I'm just gonna send it to the ones I got. Because
Oh,
the
okay, so you
marketing
want-
company, they have stuff that was irrelevant, you know.
Yeah, you can always just delete or take out the rows that don't have email addresses.
Yeah, I was gonna do that.
By the way, very conveniently, regardless of who you are, you can actually get that information. It can be
Yes.
somewhat useful in tracking down old friends.
But
I never actually did this, but someone found it through me, but again, that's Leonard, so.
if you pare down your database,
Yeah,
based on the absent, based on the, how often they vote,
yeah,
and you've got names that, of people that vote all the time in these little municipal elections or nonpartisan elections. Once you get that list, and you've got the ones without the emails, you can go to your party leader, and they've got databases full of emails of people
mhm,
that are these super voters. So you
Yeah.
can get that information.
yeah. Okay. So as I said, there's MailChimp, he's, one of my rivals is using MailChimp. MailChimp,
Yeah, MailChimp's fairly decent, but I would almost suggest if you're gonna be, putting in a pricey amount, that, you actually run a server, a mail server yourself and send them out that way.
Oh,
I will point out that running mail service is very difficult.
Yeah.
By the way, side note, Verizon people, anyone here using Verizon, have you been getting mail from SLUG recently? You haven't been. You know why? Because they thought we were spam. Luckily, I was able to email the right person and go, hey, we're not spam. Thank you.
ah,
Yeah, that's the problem with running your own. I've had
Yeah.
that in my vote too.
yeah.
I even asked, the first thing they find, oh, you need to have sender permitted. But yes, we have sender permitted from records. We're going to have DKIM as soon as someone volunteers the time to do it.
DKIM, what's that?
Domain keys, it's a way of
But yeah,
I forget the acronym, but
Oh,
it's,
okay.
you set a public key on your DNS record, and when you send out email, you sign it with that, with your private key that corresponds, so people know that you intended to send it.
Oh,
It's actually quite useful, I just haven't sent it.
okay. Let's see, where'd this come from?
Patch as well.
Eye contact, singing. Wait a minute.
You wouldn't vote for Pete?
Well,
Who was running then? I was in absentia.
You were in Sarasota though, weren't you?
Yes.
You could have voted for him.
Probably, but I wasn't paying any attention at the time.
ah. Most everybody I know doesn't pay any attention. Okay, there's MailChimp, there's GoDaddy, and there was one other, yeah, there's EmailBrain, and there's Graphic Mail. I was looking at Graphic Mail. Does anybody know anything about that? Okay.
sounds kind of graphic.
It is kind of graphic. And then someone else was looking at Constant Contact. Constant Contact's a little expensive.
What about constant comment?
Well, I think that's here.
No, it's a type of T.
Constant Comment?
Yeah. Comment.
Oh, Comment.
Constant comment, that's a different type of T that you give to people you don't like.
Oh. Oh, well, I wouldn't know about that. Oh, okay. Here's one called Campaigner, but I think it's expensive. No, not really.
I'm an arts major here. I've made a reference to art critiques, and I've been with my friends.
You might also want to, again, talk to your party.
Why do
Because they may have a service set up for it.
Time ran out.
I understand that, but even the party leaders will help you in a nonpartisan election for the resources that you're a member of the party.
But he's not a member of the party.
No, right now we're in the primary stage, and there are 3 members of my party running. So the party
All you.
remains, the party remains neutral until one of us gets the
I
playoff.
understand that. So
Yeah.
most of the party leaders have the resources for you still have to pay for them, but they'll have things like email services, email lists, those things.
I see.
Which you pay for, and if you go talk to the guy, whoever's the leader of the party in your county, should have access to those resources.
All right, that is
I'm
a
sorry.
good place to look. Okay, I gotta get back in now. Who's got the sheet? Get back in.
It's guest HDR project.
Last time I ran a campaign receipt out.
STHDR,
Over 2000.
SHDR,
2002.
project PROJECT 99, enter. All right. Good Lord.
Chuck Callahan.
Okay, where was I? Eye contact.
2002 ran against,
Now,
not Gus Miller.
why?
Oh, they want to get out. Mike Miller.
All right, right here. Top 10 reviews. Okay, here we are.
None of you guys are even as close to being here as Nelson. The Sun ran,
All right, here we are.
for Senate this last time.
State Senate or US Senate?
What?
At 25.
All right.
You know?
Federal senator, yeah.
No, it's
Oh, wait, no, it's not Senator, I'm sorry, Representative.
Representative is 25.
Yeah,
it's
Representative.
34 for president.
34, I thought it was 35.
No, it's 34. Well,
I think it's 35.
that's
It's been as low as
over
34.
34.
It's fine if you're 34, if you're going to be over, if you're going to be 25 by the time you're sworn in.
We've never had, yeah.
It's happened. It's happened twice.
All right. Okay, MailChimp.
Well, the youngest president we had was 42, wasn't it?
No.
Not one. Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt was the youngest.
Maybe. Has anybody used GoDaddy for this?
I would use GoDaddy to water the lawn. I'm just telling you, walk away, preferably.
I don't know if they would water the lawn.
It would all come out brown.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, any company that has to use bikini models to sell their services, you don't want.
So that pretty much means that everyone at CS.
Well, GoDaddy to me just, I'm sorry.
They take it pretty far.
That's just, I've used them for web hosting and they suck.
Never use them.
I ran away screaming to
It's
DreamHost
not
and
them,
never looked back.
it's not good. They third party out. They're just a front end, wall, third party.
Who?
Good at, good at front end.
Still, everything's just not. Can't stand it.
We're just now catching up.